Today we are delving into my collection of vintage t-shirts focused on music. I'm talking about band tees, the heavy hitters. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mick, and yes, we are getting into my collection of band tees. So before we get into it, make sure to give the thumbs up. Also, comment down below, and also be subscribed to the channel if you're loving this content. Now, to start it all off, this is not so much a band tee, but it is a memorial tee, and you'll know what I mean. And it's a very big fan favorite. I used to get a lot of attention wearing this one. It is the 1997 Please Stop the Violence Biggie and Tupac memorial tee. As you can see, Biggie and Tupac, also the back graphic on here. But check out the fading, and as you may notice, which everybody does usually right off the bat, look at the ink all over this thing. Look at the paint, the art that has been done to this thing, and that's what I end up finding out, that when I got this online, it was a definite steal. But I found out that the guy likes to take these vintage tees and literally do this to it to make it art. So he is one of those people, and I am happy to have this one in the collection, even though it looks the way it looks. But it's still sound. It's from a certain time that will never be forgotten, and that's what I love about vintage tees. Single stitch also. After that, this one was personally found at the local thrift store. We got 213 1999. We got Warren G, Nate Dogg, and Snoop Dogg on there. The Game Don't Wait featuring Exhibit. If you know, then you know. But if you don't, you might want to take a look at that. And look at on the back here, we got Warren G. It's so crazy, these promos, and it's on the Crazy Fruit of the Loom with the top tag taken off. But it is still here, it is still sound, and it is a bigger size. This is what it's all about here. Finding it for $1 at the thrift store, local as well. Very happy to. Now it's that one of the hardest hitting Slipknot tees that I do have in the collection, but is the 2000 hitting right on the Y2K Slipknot tee on the Made in USA anvil. And you got to see the graphic on here if you know about Slipknot. Look at that, and it's just awesome. And not only that, but it doesn't just have that front hit. You flip that around and it does say Slipknot right on the back. One of the most hardest hitting pieces, and the fade on it is just perfect. Like I was saying, a lot of people ask me, do you still have it? And yes, I do. It's still in the collection. Now, this one was found at the local thrift, like always, and I gotta say, it's a Pink Floyd tee, and I found it with an entire stash. Check out that Hanes tag. If you know, you know. A hard-hitting piece is coming your way, but Pink Floyd, The Wall. Now, this does have a 1982 licensing, but it is a 1991 considering the tag on there. That Hanes tag does not lie. And yes, this one does have a back hit. Pink Floyd, The Wall, an amazing piece. And this one I definitely kept. I did sell off another tee in 1992, a Momentary Lapse in Time, I believe it was, and another Dark Side of the Moon. So those ones sold off, but I still have this one and also another one coming up. I'm going to do these in succession, but this one is on a tour champ. And yes, Pink Floyd, The Wall, and you gotta love the back hit on this one. Look at the brick wall in there. All in all, just another brick in the wall. Look at that. We got 2001. We got Pink Floyd. Look at the graphic, how crazy that is. You flip that around, it does have a back graphic too. 2001, and actually all three have that Winterland licensing on it. Gotta love that. Onto that, another hard-hitting piece that is just, like I said, does not leave the stash. No tag found, and I end up finding out the black Sabbath tee from 1996. And what's crazy about this one, I got a lot of questions on it and if I'm selling it, but as you know, it's still in the stash. And the reason why is I had to do some research on it. And yes, it does have a back hit on it also. And look at the graphic. I know Supreme did a collab with Black Sabbath. Just look at this graphic on here. So I did research, and I found out in 1996 they had a remastered CD that came out, the album, and this tee is a promo that is just a hard-hitting, almost bootleg, considering that. You best believe it's a size XL. That's why it never leaves. Now, we got one of the standard finds at the thrift. I used to always talk about these standard finds out there, and this one is the 1998 Shania Twain. Reason I'm through this, but we got the 90s Rolling Stones tee, all in gold. Let's flip that around. We got the Stones, Los Angeles, November 9th and 10th. This one is definitely hard hitting. It is pristine, and when I found it, I knew for $1.99 I was not going to let it go. Check that out. Fabric Made in USA on the anvil tee. Another one of the craziest pieces, another one of these standards at the thrift, the Rolling Stones tee. Not only that, but on the giant tag, we do got Limp Bizkit. Let's see the front and back on there. Now, getting into an oldie but goodie with the tag still on it, but it's the 1993 Three Dog Night tee with signatures, by the way. This one is a crazy one that's in the stash still. It is single stitch, it is white, and it survived all the way this long. Look at the signatures on there. Look at the graphic. Look at the graphic. Look at the graphic. And yes, the front does say 3 Dog Night. That's how we definitely do it here. We got the 2001 System of a Down Toxicity tee. If you remember the album, you remember a certain time. This one screams out for me, LimeWire. If you know, you know. Now, this back here right here, Toxicity. And again, like I said, is it System of a Down or Victims of a Down? You decide. In this one, we got Weird Al Yankovic, straight out of Linwood. If you remember the dollar, then you know about Diddy. On the back of the tee, we also got a back graphic of the other side of the bill. Now, definitely a big one that I'm so happy to have in the collection here, but it is Linkin Park 2000 Hybrid Theory tee. And as you know, that is their first album. Check out the graphic on the back side right near the neck. But I have to say, first off, rest in peace, Chester Bennington. You'll be missed and forever encased as a legend by your voice and who you were. Now, one you don't really see, but let's see if you can read that. ZZ Top, Rhythmine. Got a nice little graphic. I like the colors. Let's flip that around. Let's see. Check it out. We got BFD right there. But it is so crazy that the two in the band have beards, and the guy in the middle is Mike Beard. This was always the thing that freaked me out. And we got Angela's dad. If you are a fan of Bones, then you know Angela's dad's right there. Like I said, this one's from 1998. Another crazy tee that I have, that it's a random ZZ Top tee. I didn't think I would ever find a ZZ Top tee, and this one is still in the stash. Now, coming down to it, one of the most hard-hitting tees I've ever found, the 1996 on the Have a Hardcore Day Balls Out extra large tag. But as you can see, Bob Marley, look at the way that that graphic looks. Okay, but that's not all. You gotta flip that around, because this one is for Zion Train. Look at this. Look at the colors. Bob Marley, look at the graphic here. Look at the words. Look at the concept. Look at the overall composition of this whole thing. And look at the words of wisdom here from Bob Marley himself. Don't gain the world and lose your soul. Wisdom is better than silver and gold. That is one of the tees that just looks awesome and has something to say. Now onto that, these are Grateful Dead tees, and like I said, I'm going for the band tees here that I do have, or any music tees that I do have, and this one is a Stedman, but this one's a little bit different. This is not actually a Grateful Dead tee, this is a Deadhead tee. If you know what a Deadhead is, that is a fan, a hardcore fan of the band. So at the bottom here, it does say Deadhead. If you could see all around this is Deadhead. And this one actually flips around. So look at it for what it is. Can you see it? The skulls within the skulls, right? But if you flip this one around, the graphic keeps going if you see it. And the Deadhead on there keeps on talking. This one actually came from a rag bag of a bunch of tees for only, I think it was like $2.50 or $2.40. And this one doesn't have a date on it, but because the Stedman Super High Crew tag on there, made in USA, I already know it is got to be the early 90s. So this one's awesome. This one is definitely later. This one is definitely later, but still has a story to tell. Look at this. Is it live or is it dead? Now, I'm not just talking from my mind here, but as you can see, that one around, it does say, is it live or is it dead? This one came from another rag bag on the liquid blue tag. Again, very vintage, made in USA, single stitch. And look at this. Ship of Fools, West Coast Tour, 1993. This one is pretty crazy that it's all white. There's no tie-dye in it, and it could be tie-dyed, but I'm keeping it original, although I found it. Look at this. It's actually the West Coast Tour. So this is it's perfect that it was found in an LA thrift store. But look at this graphic. Look at the skeletons on there. I hope you can see this. I hope it's actually focused on here. It's got fish with roses. Got Grateful Dead in the crazy colorway, black into that purple. And it just pops. It definitely pops with the blue sky, the clouds, the ships, and look at those sails. Amazing. Not only that, but we got a standard here that is a little bit different from the one you may have seen. So this one's actually for the 1996 Atlanta Games. If you know about the craziness of the Olympics right now, this one kind of goes back to it. It's a size XL on the vintage Hanes, but it's a Lithuania tee, and right there it just say commemorate 1996. So the original Lithuania tees came out in 1992 for the Olympics. Remember that Lithuania at the time just separated from the USSR, and the USSR USSR collapsed, so there was no money for the Lithuania team to get to the Olympics, and the Grateful Dead heard about their plight and they helped them on the spot, and we get these tees and the legend that goes along with it. This one is a crazy one because for the Atlanta Games, remember that 4 years later, we got 1996. Jerry Garcia did die in 1995, and at the bottom here, I love that because we got Scully, and then right here on the bottom there, but underneath there, it does say Jerry lives. You gotta think Greg Spears. Scully 1996, he has it right here. You gotta think Greg Spears for designing this tee and just making it look the way it looks. And I love the fact that I've never seen another one of these. I've never seen another 1996 version with the Jerry lives on the bottom. If you know about Jerry Garcia, rest in peace to the GOAT. Hope you're gigging up there in heaven. Now onto that, we got one of the hard-hitting Grateful Dead bears here. This is the snowboard bear, and I gotta show that back because look at the graphics in here. Look at the colorway. Now this one's got an interesting story. So when I found this one, it had no sleeves. It was cut. You could see that somebody cut the sleeves here, and I restored it. Yes, I actually attached sleeves to it on both sides and redid the tie-dye to match it. Look at the match of the 1-to-1. These sleeves were actually done separately to match the tie-dye, and they came out perfectly. Look at this. It almost does not look like it was tie-dyed separately. It looks almost the same. So I was so happy how it came out, and yes, it's a bigger size, and yes, it's still in the collection. Now last but not least, and it's funny, I'm bringing this to the table, the legend himself. If you know about Journey, then you know about this guy. Pretty much went solo right here. We got Beefy Haynes, adult size XL. We got Steve Perry. Let's show the logo first right there. Steve Perry on there, and look at this boxy like logo right on the top of the tee. This is a bigger size too, and when I found it, I just freaked out. Look at that, Steve Perry on there. We got the single stitch tee, and yes, it is not pristine. We got a little bit of staining here. It is a white tee, and it has survived this long. I believe this one was 1994 or 1993. I am forgetting right now, but when I found this tee, I was surprised to see his face on there. And look at that. Look at the hair. Look at the majesticness. And what I mean by that, look at him. He looks like a deer in the woods. He's just natural. Look at the hair, look at the flowingness, look at the stare, look at the way he's looking at the camera. He knows what's up. Steve Perry, man, that is definitely what it's all about. And like I said, when I talk about these pieces, it really gets me pumped. It really gets me going. It brings me back to a certain time, a certain, you know, era of just finding these tees, knowing each piece of where I was or how I felt. And it's crazy because it brings back so much joy and memories of just going out there searching and coming up and finding and learning about this, always learning about history, always learning about what came before. You know, if we don't remember the past, we are condemned to repeat it. So that's why I just love going to the thrift, learning about history, learning about this, learning about that, not even picking up an item, just learning about something new. It's just every day. I just gotta say thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please give me the thumbs up. Also comment down below something of one of the vintage tees or something that you have in the collection. Also with that, if you could subscribe to the channel, keep this going because I am on the verge to keep going here, but I just needed a little push. Anybody out there, seriously, if you're watching, if you're commenting, if you're liking, it's pushing me on and to keep going. So definitely I'm just gonna say what I always say. Hit that sub button because more videos are coming. This was Mick from Fresh from the Flea.